chat. Go in the question and answer place. Okay. So many things here. We've got Stephanie Gibbs from Edgar Suter. Oh, I think I've been there. How many books have you written? Well, that's a good question. How many books have I written? I've written 12 books altogether, I think, 12 books, which doesn't, is that a lot? I don't know. Sometimes, you know, I mean, some people go 12, that's not very many. Some people go 12, that's amazing. I mean, if you want more, then, you know, get Michael Morpurgo to do a virtual visit. He's written thousands, you know, but he's really annoying. So there we go. He is very annoying, Michael Morpurgo. We had a big argument a couple of years ago over a girl. He comes around my house in the middle of the night and throws stones at the bedroom window. Really annoying, really inappropriate, Michael. My other half elbows me in the ribs in the middle of the night. She's like, James, there's someone in the garden. There's no one in the garden. And actually there is. And I open up the curtains. There's Michael Morpurgo standing in the garden in his red trousers and nothing else, like ginger chest hair glinting in the moonlight. Terrifying. I open up the window. I'm like, Michael, get a grip. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And what do you want? And he goes, oh, I've written more books than you have. And then disappears off into the undergrowth. It's terrifying and beautiful. I like it. Who else have we got here? Oh, Stephanie Gibbs says, can you read page 111? Yeah, good choice. Let's see what's on page 111. 111, 111. That's all the ones. Page 111 is football match food. Okay, it says here, the entertainment at a football match may be top notch, but often the food is terrible. It reminds me of school lunches and the mystery of school lunch servers. Why give the job to people who clearly don't care about food? You wouldn't let people who didn't like children become teachers, would you? That's not a good example. Anyway, for some reason, football bosses will spend £20 million on a new striker, but won't spend more than a few pence on the halftime food. Classic football food includes meat pies that look like cat poo in pastry, cheesy chips, which are actually just a slice of cheese on top of some chips, a dead squirrel on a stick, tasty, and manky bum pie. Don't know how they make that. So there you go. That's page 111, manky bum pie. Let's go back to the questions. Oh, we've got Chalfer Hill Primary School in Gloucestershire, and they want to know, what is your favourite book to read? And you'd like page 84. My favourite book to read? I like reading all sorts of books. I've just finished with my daughter, we've just finished The Secret of Platform 13 by Eva Ibbotson, which is like, it's becoming a classic. Really, really liked that. So that's probably one of my favorite books. I also read lots of non-fiction books. So I like reading books about things I'm not really interested in. I know that sounds weird, but when you become a grown-up, you have to be careful that you don't just read stuff that you already know. You guys being children, people are always saying, read this, and now we're doing this, learn this, and study this. And you don't have a lot of choice of it, right? Which means you get to find out all sorts of amazing stuff about the world that you didn't think of looking for. When you're a grown-up, you tend to look at books and go, oh, yes, I know about that. I'll read about that. So I make an effort to try and read books about things that I'm not interested in. And normally, by the time I get to page 3, I'm like, this is amazing. I had no idea I liked quantum physics. And now I do. So at the moment, I'm reading a book, can't quite reach it. It's over there on the other side of my office. But I'm reading a book called Medicinal Food Forests. So it's basically about growing plants you can use as medicine. Which I am quite interested in, but there we go. Right, page 84. Page 84 is, who should be your footballing hero? Let's read that. It's a great idea to have a footballing hero. You can find out all about them and do your best to be like them in certain ways. I think the best heroes are people who were a bit like you when they were children and then grew up to be successful and really useful to the world in some way. If you can't afford decent football books, maybe you should buy, look, I think I said football books, which it's not even a word unless you're from Manchester. I'm going to start again. If you can't afford decent football boots, then maybe you should think about Pele or Diego Maradona for a hero, because they both came from terrible poverty in the slums of South America. Maybe you can identify closely with your culture. Eusebio was one of the first African-born footballing superstars. Perhaps you like to stand up for others. Megan Rapinoe uses her position as a footballer. She's like the captain of the American team, or she was last time I looked. She uses her position to protest against racial inequality. Marta, Brazilian, she is a goodwill ambassador for the United Nations. Johan Cruyff, inventor of the Cruyff turn, he set up a foundation for impoverished children. What obstacles will you have to overcome? Or maybe you are already overcoming. Zico and Lionel Messi had to overcome being smaller than average. Cristiano Ronaldo had to have heart surgery when he was a teenager. Footballers with disabilities have to overcome their own difficulties every single day. Maybe one of them will be a powerful hero for you. So there you go. That's what's on page 84. Okay, let's have a look further in the questions here. Keep them coming in. Okay, so we've got we've got Joseph Bench. Is that a school or a person? Hello, my name is Joseph Bench. It's a good name. It says, hang on. All right. Lily from Charter. I must be called Charter School. What is it like to write a book? Oh, that's a good question. It's like if it's going well, then it's like it's like when you go to somewhere like Centre Parks or one of those water park type places, and there's like there's one near me. We go to one in Colchester, and it's got like the crazy river, and so you're floating in the water, but there's a current going, and you basically just follow the thing, and you're like, yeah. Or if you go somewhere like Centre Parks, and there's like the rapids, and you go in there, and basically you just float about, and the flow takes you down. You're like, yay. And so sometimes writing a book is a bit like that. And you're like, you're just floating along, and it all seems to flow really nicely, and it's easy. And most of the time, you're not even really thinking about it, and it just sort of falls out of your pen. And you're like, oh, this is great. This is really easy. And then sometimes it's like trying to plat jam. Sometimes you're like, really hard. But you know what? I really like it when it gets hard. I really, when it gets really difficult, and then I really have to think about it. And then also, not only do I have to think about it when I'm doing it, I have to think about it when I'm not doing it as well. So, I'm having conversations with other people, but really I'm thinking of trying to solve a problem in the writing. And I really like that. I really like obsessing over stuff. It took me a long time to work out that my brain works in a particular way. And what I've found is that if I'm interested in something, then I can really hyper focus on it. And then that's the only thing I can think about. And I don't really notice other stuff happening. But I can't do it for very long. I can do it for like an hour, and then I have to do something else. So generally, when I'm writing a book, what I do is I write for about half an hour or an hour, and then I go into the garden and I weed, pull out nettles for half an hour, and then I come back in here, and then I do another hour of writing, and then I go and make some lunch, and then I do another hour of writing, and then I do the washing up, and then I do another hour of writing, and then I go and get my children from school, and then I do another, and do it like that. And that works really well. So that's how I write. But I would imagine you probably have a different way of writing. What page would you like, Joseph Bench? Have you specified a page? You have a look. I don't think you have. Joseph Bench has got lots of questions. Oh, Destiny. Joseph Bench is probably a teacher, isn't she? He, or them, whatever. So Joseph Bench is probably a teacher. And so it's up Destiny from Charlton. Why did you want to become an author? It's a good question. But what page number do you want, Joseph Bench? Why did I want to become an author? I can't do anything else. It's literally my only skill. Okay. Kirsty, but Chilton Primary School. Hello, Chilton Primary School. Who is your favourite footballer? That's a good question. It's my daughter, Daphne. She's 7, and she's really good at football. And she's developed, in the Funny Life of Football, there's a bit where I talk about she's got this amazing way of dribbling. This is when she was 5. And basically, she would just sort of jump over the ball, going, hup, 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 hup. And everybody was so confused that nobody tackled her. It was genius. Now she's 7 and she's getting stronger and faster. So now if I've got the ball in the back garden and she comes to tackle me, she screams as she's doing it. She's like, ah! And then basically anybody that's got the ball just goes, okay, it's fine, have the ball, take it. And so it's turned into, I don't think you can do that in an actual football match. I don't know if you're allowed to scream at people until they give you the ball. But yeah, she's my hero. Right, let's find a page number. You haven't given the page number. I'll just do a random one. Okay. Oh, this page is about stadiums. Let's go back a page and read the setup. Oh, there's lots of stadiums, aren't there? Yeah, like stadiums. It says here, it's no good having a brilliant football team if people can't come and watch you play. No. All over the world, clubs have built huge buildings that allow thousands of people to squeeze in and watch and cheer and boo and love the game together. It always takes ages to get into these places, and going to the toilet in the middle of a match feels like it's taking forever, mainly because you spend your whole wee hoping you don't miss a goal. I once spent a whole match doing a poo. It was so big, the commentators mentioned it on the TV. There's a lovely cartoon here, and he's saying, "It's unbelievable, Jeff." And Jeff saying, "It was very much a poo of two halves, Chris." So there you go. That's the page about stadiums. What have we got here? Let's have another question. Oh, I like this. Oh, brilliant. There's a fabulous name here. Somebody from Charter. Oliver says, why did you choose the Funny Life series? Well, the first one was the Funny Life of Pets. And I just had loads of stories about pets. And so I went to Bloomsbury and I said, hey, can I make a new kind of book? So it's like books, but it's a bit different. And it's more like stand-up comedy, but in book form. They said, what do you mean? And I said, well, like, if like you got a story, but then there's all sorts of bits coming off the story, and then it also sort of fits together quite nicely. And then they said, what do you mean? And so I wrote it, and then they went, we see what you mean. That sounds good. And then we had to think about what we're going to call it. And we called it The Funny Life of, oh, here we go, Westgate Community Primary School. I think I've been there. Is that in Bury St Edmunds? You've got 2 Waterstones in Bury St Edmunds. That's cool. They want to know what inspired you to write your book. Well, the football book, like I said, my publishers told me this is what you're doing next. So it wasn't really inspiration. It was more contractual. But it's a good question. We've got Lisa McCormick. I don't know where you are. Says, what is the first book you ever wrote? Oh, Tallulah Walker. Hello, Tallulah. What is the first book you ever wrote, and what was your favourite book? Out of my books, I think my favourite book is probably this one, The Funny Life of Football. And what's the first book I ever wrote? I can remember writing a story when I was very little. I used to love those sort of magic portal stories where like there's a hero and they're bored or miserable, and then they go through a magic door of some sort, and then they're in a crazy world and everything's amazing, right? So I used to love the Narnia books, you know, Lionel Richie in the wardrobe. Hello. And I used to love Alice in Wonderland. She goes down a rabbit hole. And also, when I was little, there was a TV program called Jamie and the Magic Torch. Okay. And look it up on YouTube. It was real. And there was a boy with orange hair, and basically his mum would put him to bed at night time, and then he would shine a torch onto the floor and it would turn into a helter-skelter. He would go down the helter-skelter with his dog, who was called Wordsworth, who would talk, and they would go, Jamie, Jamie, Jamie and the magic torch, right? Into this amazing world with really crazy characters. So I wrote a story when I was about 6 or 7, and it was about me. And the idea was that when I went to bed and went to clean my teeth in the bathroom, I put the toothpaste on the toothbrush, and there would be a message written in the toothpaste, like a clue. And then I would jump into the sink and I would go down the plug hole. It was a magic plug hole into a magical world behind the sink. It was like a cross between Narnia and B&Q. It was rubbish. Although a couple of years ago, I actually rewrote that story. I thought, you know, that story I wrote when I was 7, I'm going to write it again at the age of 47 or whatever. And I wrote it. And I think I sent it to my publishers, and I think it got ignored. So there you go. I think that was the first thing I can remember writing. But my first book that got published was called Boyface and the Quantum Chromatic Disruption Machine. You could probably get that in Waterstones as well. Let's have a page number. Oh, Mrs. Wade, who goes to Gorsland Primary School. Excellent. She says, which team do you support? Gorsland Primary School is in Ipswich. Which team do you support? All of them. I support all of them. I think they're all lovely. So yeah, I live quite close to Ipswich, but I support all the football teams. They're great. Well done them. She would like page 22. Let's see what's on page 22. Ooh. By the way, if you like the sound of this book, or if you or any of my books, then go and buy one. You can get them in all the normal places, wherever you normally buy books. I don't know where you normally buy books. Bookshops are good. But Waterstones, oh, love Waterstones. They're amazing. Waterstones, there's probably one on the high street somewhere. If you go to Gorston Primary School in Ipswich, then there's a Waterstones in Ipswich. It's on, I think it's on Buttermarket. So go there and say, have you got any James Campbell books? And they'll be like, yeah, do like a whole promotion on it because it won the Sunday Times Children's Sports Book of the Year awards, brackets children's, brackets sports, brackets James. So we've got loads. So go and do that. So anyway, right, page 22 is the history of football. It says here the first recorded history of people playing with a ball dates back 3,000 years when the Mesoamerican peoples played a game involving a ball of stone. Imagine kicking that with bare feet. Historians think that the ball represented the sun, and at the end of the game, the losing players would be sacrificed to the gods, which is a bit extreme. And there's a nice penalty here, a nice illustration. And he's saying, and why are you here? So it's like a god. He's saying, why are you here so young? And he's saying, I missed a penalty. The first written records of people playing football start around the 12th century CE. And through the Middle Ages, people would play a kind of mob football, which was very rough, involved picking the ball up if you wanted to, and it could last all day. Imagine a football match that lasts all day. It seems any number of people could play in the same match, and the only definite rule, was you weren't allowed to murder anyone. That is still a rule today. You're definitely not allowed to murder people. So there we go. Right, we've got time for one more question. Let me have a look through the Q&A. Oh, there's millions of you. There's literally 99 plus questions in here. I have no idea how many schools are watching this. I don't know how many people. I can't see you. I'm just talking to my laptop, hey. But if you want to ask me a question and we haven't got time, which is now, if you go to my website, which is jamescampbellauthor.com, jamescampbellauthor.com, go to my website, send me an email from the school or from your grown-ups, and I will do my best to answer your questions because it's an absolute privilege to have so many questions. I'm sorry I can't answer them all, but I can answer them all because we can do it online. So jamescampbellauthor.com, send me a question. Right, somebody anonymous is saying, what is your next book about and when is it out? Epping Primary School, London. I like Epping Primary School. It's called Epping. The next book's called Don't Panic, We Can Save the Planet. So yes, they did eventually let me write The Funny Life of Saving the Planet, but we've changed the title. So Don't Panic, We Can Save the Planet. And basically it's about trying to solve the climate crisis, trying to solve all the pollution problems and all the poo that's in the river. We're trying to solve how can we grow food without destroying the planet, because I found that lots of people and lots of children are worried about these things. And the wonderful news is that we all have the ability to do something about it. Every government, every powerful person, every individual person has the power and ability to do something about it. We can solve all the problems. We just need to get on with it. So my book, Don't Panic, We Can Save the Planet, is about all the problems, why they exist, and then what you can do about it yourself and as a family, what you can do, what you can do about it as a community, as a village or as a block of flats or as a school or whatever community you feel that you're in, and also what you can try and persuade the government to do, because they can do all the big stuff. So yeah, it's called Don't Panic, We Can Save the Planet. I think it comes out January 2024, so just after Christmas. And I'm sure you'll be able to get that in Waterstones as well. I don't know if that'll win an award. It won't win a sports award. Maybe it'll win a Green Book award. I don't know. Who knows? But whatever it is, go and get that as well. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. We've now run out of time. So just briefly again, Waterstones, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute privilege to be able to do this. Schools, guys out there, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And as I know you're very busy, so thank you for joining me today. Absolute privilege. Remember, I do visit primary schools in person. So if I haven't visited your school and you would like me to visit your school, then grab hold of me and send me a message and we'll work something out. And if you like the sound of this book, then, make sure you go to a Waterstones bookshop and get yourself a copy. And if you did want to ask me a question, then just go to my website and click on the contact button. It's jamescampbellauthor.com. So thank you for having me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. God bless. And, back to whatever it was you were doing. If I were you, I'd go outside and play football. Okay, right. Do not go in the